The lights in the newsroom flickered as the breaking alert flashed across every major screen. A new video, never before seen, never before acknowledged, had surfaced from inside Menglong's inner circle. And this time, the revelation wasn't about rumors, or disappearance, or redemption. It was something far stranger. The headline hit like lightning. Confidential footage submitted by Menglong's team, 5 unknown individuals identified. Within minutes, the story spread across China's major platforms. Search engines froze under the flood of queries. Fans, reporters, and even skeptics who had long moved on from the earlier headlines suddenly found themselves pulled back into the mystery. What was on the video? Who were the 5 figures mentioned in the leaked report? And why had the footage been hidden until now? According to verified sources within his management agency, the file was discovered during a digital audit, a routine process meant to back up old projects. But when the data was opened, it revealed something no one expected. A short clip, time-stamped months before Menglong's temporary disappearance, showing him in what appeared to be a private meeting. Video had no dialogue, no clear audio, and yet its atmosphere was chillingly heavy. Menglong sat at a table in a dimly lit room, surrounded by 5 blurred silhouettes. Their faces were partially obscured by shadow. Their movements calm but deliberate, as if they were discussing something they didn't want anyone else to hear. At first, investigators believed it might have been rehearsal footage or part of an unfinished project. But after examining the metadata, experts confirmed it was recorded on a handheld device, not a studio camera. There was no crew, no lights, no set. Just him, and 5 others. The discovery ignited a storm of speculation. News anchors spoke cautiously, calling it the most mysterious turn in Menglong's case yet. Social media, however, was anything but cautious. Thousands of theories appeared within hours. Were they producers, investors, old friends, or something else entirely? But perhaps the most unsettling question of all was this: why had the footage been hidden by his own team? Anonymous insiders suggested the video had been stored under a coded folder marked simply Project S. No one on the staff could explain what the letter meant. Had authorized the upload. It wasn't part of any production schedule or campaign. It didn't match any timeline in his public work. The clip was only 2 minutes and 37 seconds long, yet it raised more questions than it answered. In the grainy footage, Menglong appears tense, his posture rigid, his expression unreadable. In a moment, he looks toward the camera, as though aware of being recorded. And in that instant, just before the video cuts off, one of the shadowed figures leans forward and says something. No sound can be heard, but lip readers online claim the words were, "It's already begun." Whether that interpretation is accurate remains unconfirmed. But the phrase alone was enough to send the internet into chaos. Comment sections filled with panic, fascination, even poetic disbelief. It's already begun? What began? Was this connected to his disappearance? Was this planned all along? Even his closest colleagues were caught off guard. One staff member told reporters, "We didn't even know that file existed. When we saw it, the entire office went silent. It didn't feel like something for the public, it felt like something we were never meant to see." That single quote fueled a fire that no one could contain. As hours passed, official statements were carefully worded and deliberately vague. His management confirmed that the video was authentic, insisted that it had no criminal or legal implications. They described it as a private creative discussion, a record of experimental work. But the public wasn't convinced. Why would an actor, known for his careful image and private nature, record something so eerie, so secretive, and never mention it? Why did his team withhold it for months, only to reveal it now? Some said it was the trailer for an unannounced project. Others claimed it was evidence of something deeper, a coded message, a cry for help, or even an unfinished artistic statement about fame and identity. The truth remained buried in silence. Evening, national news outlets were calling it the most puzzling discovery in recent entertainment history. Clips from the footage, blurred and edited to protect privacy, circulated like wildfire. 5 faint outlines surrounding a familiar face. Voices. No answers. Only tension. And as darkness fell over the city, the mystery deepened. People gathered online to rewatch the short clip, analyzing every flicker of light, every gesture, every frame. Some swore they could see Menglong mouthing a single word near the end, "Wait." Others said his expression wasn't fear, but resolve. like a man preparing to reveal something greater than himself. No one could agree on what the truth was. But everyone agreed on one thing: this wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of something much bigger, something that might finally explain what happened during the 5 missing days that still haunted his legend. And as one journalist wrote in a late-night column that quickly went viral, "The real mystery isn't in what the video shows, it's in what it doesn't." That line would define the next chapter of the Menglong phenomenon. A story where every frame of silence might hold the key to a secret no one was ready to hear. The first alert appeared just after midnight. A journalist at a small entertainment desk posted a single sentence: "Video connected to actor Lin Wei has been found, and what's on it defies explanation." Within an hour, the post had been shared thousands of times. By dawn, it had exploded across every major platform in China. Hashtags flared like sparks: "Lin Wei video 5 figures hidden footage." At first, no one believed it. Lin Wei had been out of the public eye for nearly a year, resting after an exhausting film schedule and a string of personal setbacks. The idea that a secret video could surface now, one handed over by someone from inside his own team, felt too unreal to be true. And yet, as the morning sun rose over Beijing, information arrived. A terse press note from his agency read simply: "A private recording has been located during internal data recovery. We are cooperating with authorities to clarify context." Those 2 sentences ignited a storm. The clip, investigators said, was short, 2 minutes and 40 seconds, but hauntingly ambiguous. No dialogue, only the hum of an air conditioning unit and the faint echo of shoes on concrete. Lin Wei sits alone at a table. Then, one by one, 5 shadowed silhouettes appear around him. Their faces are obscured by the dim light. They never look directly into the camera, yet every gesture suggests intention. At the end of the recording, Lin Wei glances toward the lens, a split second of awareness, and the screen cuts to black. The file's metadata placed it in late autumn, 7 months before his retreat from public life. No one, not even his manager, could explain why it existed. It wasn't part of any production schedule, special project, or security feed. Someone had filmed it deliberately, and then hidden it under an encrypted folder labeled S5. When forensics confirmed authenticity, the internet erupted again. For the 5 figures, why had the footage been buried? And what did that brief look from Lin Wei mean? Fear, awareness, complicity. Reporters camped outside the agency building. Fans gathered with candles, pleading for answers. Every few hours a new theory surfaced: that the video was part of an experimental art film, that it captured a clandestine negotiation, it documented something too private to name. Lin Wei himself remained silent. Those who knew him described a man of discipline, meticulous, reserved, painfully honest. He was not reckless. He did not court scandal. A childhood friend, interviewed by Phoenix Daily, said quietly, if Lin recorded something, he had a reason. And his words like he plans his breath. That statement only deepened the intrigue. Before the silence, Lin Wei's career had been a study in restraint. He'd risen from stage plays in Chengdu to award-winning film roles marked by quiet intensity. Critics called him the actor who speaks through stillness. Audiences saw in him a mirror, a man who seemed to carry unspoken truths behind every line he delivered. But after a sudden illness forced him off set, he withdrew completely. He posted a final message to fans. Sometimes you have to step out of the light to remember why you began. No one knew that months later, this message would feel like foreshadowing. When the agency's internal audit began, Lin Wei's longtime manager Han Ruo was overseeing the backup of archived footage. In one corrupted folder, he found a set of video thumbnails, all blank except one. Curious, she clicked. What she saw froze her in place. After verifying the timestamp, delivered it directly to legal counsel and, within hours, to the authorities. It was Han Ruo who confirmed to the media that the clip was real. And when asked what she thought it meant, she hesitated before replying. It's something he never told us about. But I think it's connected to the project he called the Mirror Sessions. No record of such a project existed publicly. Archived correspondence later revealed fragments of Lin Wei's personal notes, handwritten in neat, deliberate strokes. 5 faces, 5 reflections. When they meet, the truth will surface. At first glance, the line read like poetry. Online sleuths. It became scripture. They dissected every phrase, trying to match it to his previous work. In one of his earlier films, Echo of the Streets, the number 5 recurred repeatedly. 5 doors, 5 mirrors, 5 voices. Fans began connecting dots that may or may not have existed, weaving theories that blended art and reality until no one could tell which was which. By the end of the first week, the Ministry of Culture intervened to calm speculation, reminding the public that the clip showed no evidence of wrongdoing. Still, the fascination only grew. Television talk shows debated whether the video was part of an elaborate viral campaign. Some called it genius, called it manipulation. But the truth remained locked in Lin Wei's silence. One late-night host summarized the collective obsession. We keep searching for monsters in the dark, when maybe the video was only showing us ourselves. 10 days after the discovery, Wei finally appeared. Not on stage, not in a studio, but through a handwritten letter posted on his official account. The image was simple: white paper, black ink, and his signature at the bottom. I filmed it. It was never meant to frighten anyone. It was an experiment about perception, about how easily we turn shadows into enemies. Those 5 figures are not strangers. They are reflections of us all. Within hours, the message was shared over 3 million times. People read it again and again, searching for hidden meaning. Was he speaking metaphorically? Or had he just confessed to orchestrating the mystery himself? Theory shifted once more. Perhaps the video was part of a documentary on media fear. Perhaps it was an art installation he never finished. Perhaps it was a statement about surveillance and fame, how an artist can never truly own his own image once it enters the public eye. Days passed. Memes, analyses, even university lectures sprang up around the 5 figures. For a generation raised on endless information, clip became a kind of Rorschach test. Everyone saw something different: guilt, beauty, despair, revelation. Through it all, Lin Wei remained unseen. Reporters said he had traveled to Yunnan to work on a charity film for deaf children. A photographer caught him once, helping lift camera equipment through the rain, smiling faintly. No questions, no answers, only that same quiet grace. And so the mystery stayed alive, evolving from scandal into legend. The file itself was never publicly released in full, but in every discussion, every retelling, one image remained fixed in people's minds. A man turning toward the camera, eyes steady, surrounded by 5 shadows that might have been anyone, or everyone. 3 months passed before Lin Wei returned to public sight. The world had not stopped talking about the video. Professors analyzed it in lectures. Directors quoted it in interviews. And art students painted the 5 silhouettes onto murals. But Lin Wei said nothing. He worked quietly on his charity project in Yunnan, filming children learning to sign words like light, listen, truth. When he finally agreed to meet a journalist, it wasn't in a studio but in a mountain schoolroom that smelled of chalk and rain. The reporter, Menglong, described him as thinner, calmer, almost transparent. "You've seen the footage?" he asked. "Everyone has," she replied. Nodded, a faint smile flickering. "Then perhaps everyone has also seen themselves." Menglong pressed gently. "Did the 5 figures represent?" He looked toward the window, where clouds rolled like gray waves. 5 fragments of one conscience. Said. Anger, fear, ambition, regret, and mercy. I wanted to show how they sit at the same table, arguing inside us every day. Her recorder caught the pause that followed, a silence that hummed louder than words. "People thought it was evidence of something hidden," she said. "We're right," he answered. "But the secret wasn't about me. It was about how quickly we choose suspicion over empathy." That line headlined every paper the next morning. Suspicion over empathy, Lin Wei speaks. Authorities concluded the inquiry soon after. No crimes, no conspiracies. Only an artist experimenting with human reaction. Yet the discovery had already transcended legality. It had become legend. An archived statement from his manager clarified one last mystery. The folder labeled S5 had been part of a series of private workshops Lin Wei led for young actors. Each session explored emotion under constraint, how truth emerges when words are stripped away. The camera had been recording those exercises. But one clip, the one the world saw, had been copied and misplaced. The encryption, the secrecy. Never deliberate deception, they were the byproduct of a creative process misunderstood. Honoruo summed it simply. He wanted to teach silence. Turned it into noise. The frenzy slowly evolved into reflection. Online forums that once screamed theories became discussion circles about media ethics and privacy. Schools held debates titled The Mirror Effect, When Art Outruns Intention. And Lin Wei, without meaning to become a philosopher for an age addicted to exposure. One evening, he appeared on a live broadcast supporting rural education. There was no mention of the video. Dramatic reveal, only him reading a children's poem. The sky keeps no secrets, it only changes color. Finished, the chat feed filled with hearts and crying emojis. The first time in months. The headlines called him not mysterious but human. Later, he invited a small crew to document the making of his new project. The Mirror Sessions, Revisited, would explore how audiences perceive truth once they have been deceived. In one scene, actors repeated the original video's gestures, 5 figures around a table, but this time the lights slowly rose until their faces were clear. Each represented an ordinary person, a teacher, a student, a farmer, a journalist. When the camera pulled back, Wei stepped into frame, saying only, "Never supposed to fear them. They were you all along." The film premiered online for free. Within 24 hours, it surpassed 10 million views. Critics called it a masterpiece of redemption through simplicity. Audiences called it a quiet apology that healed us. Weeks later, Mei Lan received an envelope with no return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper in Lin Wei's handwriting. "Thank you for listening without demanding an answer. The truth is never a statement, it's a conversation." She never published it, but years later, it surfaced in a museum exhibit dedicated to modern Chinese cinema. It rested beside a looping projection of that first 2-minute clip, still grainy, still enigmatic, now reframed not as evidence, but as art. 5 years after the storm, Lin Wei continued to teach, rarely acting, rarely appearing in public. His students said he opened every class the same way, by turning off wall lights for 1 full minute. "That's how you learn presence," he'd say. Being in the dark. The phrase became a mantra printed on notebooks, quoted in speeches, etched into the marble wall outside the National Film Academy. See in the dark, Lin Wei. People still ask about the 5 figures. He still smiles the same answer. Still at the table. So am I, so are you. And somewhere in a digital archive, file S5, MP4 remains intact, not a secret anymore, but a reminder that sometimes the greatest mysteries are the ones that teach us to listen before we judge. One crisp winter morning, Lin Wei stood again at the edge of West Lake, where his story had first begun. The surface shimmered silver beneath the sunrise. He had a small camera on the railing, pressed record. Simply watch the light change. No shadows, no figures, no symbols, just water, wind, and the sound of breathing. Later that day, he uploaded the clip with a single caption. Nothing hidden this time. It garnered millions of views not for mystery, but for peace. And in that quiet final act, the legend of the 5 figures found its closing frame. The world moved on, but the silence remained, not empty, not fearful, but full of meaning. Because every story that begins with confusion can end with clarity. Secret, once understood, becomes light. You followed Lin Wei's journey through chaos and calm. Thank you. You reminded the world that art is not a riddle to solve, but a mirror to face ourselves. May his story whisper to anyone lost in noise. That truth does not always shout, sometimes it breathes quietly in the dark, waiting for us to notice. The end.